Okay, let's talk about something important today, which is how do you find your first 10 or so clients? I had an email newsletter reader email me the other day and they said, "Oh, hey, Kyle, I want to start a boot camp. How do I start when I've got no following?" And it's a good question, but the thing is, you don't need a following. What you need for your business depends, in terms of marketing, depends on what stage your business is at. And if you're looking to just start getting into personal training or starting a boot camp, or maybe you want to start like small group training, or you want to start online training, or you want to start an online program, or anything which is different from what you usually run, there's a different way you need to go about doing that to the way that, say, a gym or a boot camp that has 100 members has. It's going to go about getting another 10 clients. So that's what we want to talk about today, is the starting point. Because what I see, at least what gets marketed to me from other gurus out there in the industry, is that you need to either be doing one of two things. You either need to be creating social media content, and they're going to show you how to create that social media content, or you need to ditch social media content. You need to be running social media ads, and they're going to show you how to run those ads. And both of these camps are just fighting with each other all the time. And the truth is that you do not need either of those. You do not need ads. You do not need to be making lots of social media content if you get started. In fact, if you just do that from day one, you're going to really struggle and you're going to lose a lot of money. There's a better way. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. Doesn't even use a lot of your time to get your first 10 clients. And then if later you decide, oh, I want to run ads or I want to create content, doing this first is going to give you a much better basis to do that from. So is that enough of the, oh, you want to watch today's, or watch or listen to today's episode? I think so. I think we've passed the hook now. Let's get into some practical tips I'm going to show you today, step by step, what I recommend people do to get their first 10 clients, what I've used myself, what I've seen other people use. This stuff works. So, but first, two things. There's two things that are going to help you a lot with this strategy. And the first one is an understanding of why finding the number 10 of 10 new clients is magical. Part of that is, okay, let's talk about an example. Back when I was starting as a trainer, it wasn't social media or social media ads that were the big way to get clients. If you asked a guru back then, how do I get more clients? How do I get some clients? They would say referrals, always referrals. And a lot of the marketing we did back then was, which is really a bit of a lost art and a lost skill that still works very well today, was around referral, like generating more referrals, encouraging more referrals. But the problem was that if you're just starting out, you've got no clients, who's going to refer people to you? So that's where this idea of having 10 clients comes in. If you can get 10 clients, and from that first 10, you can get 10 more clients, then you've got a proven idea. If your bootcamp is that good that 10 clients will generate another 10 clients for you, then you're onto something. If you get 10 clients and you struggle to then turn that into 10 more clients, that's a bit of an example that maybe what you're offering still isn't quite what people are looking for. You want those first 10 to have had such a good experience. They can't help but want to bring more people along into that to share that experience with them. So that's something to think about from day one. And also it's really good because I think I see a lot of trainers start sort of a boot camp just, with whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, this seems like a good idea. And then 2 years later, they're still struggling. This way you can fail very quickly, which is really good. We want to know whether our bootcamp actually is going to keep things going or whether we need to go back to the drawing board and restart. It is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. And my wife had this recently with her business where she was running group sessions And they weren't growing. Those first 10 were not turning into 10 more. So she went back to the drawing board. She relaunched them. It's the same thing. It's just packaged differently. And that got more people in the door. And then that has led to more referrals. So if you start your boot camp, it doesn't work, and you need to stop, reset, think about how you're going to do this, go again, then it's not a bad thing. I just want to give you like permission to do that and not feel like that's a failure. In fact, being a failure is running it for 2, 3, 4 years and then not growing and not doing anything about it. That sounds harsh to you. I don't want you guys to think you're a failure either. Good on for you for getting out there and doing it. Okay, so that's the first thing. So the first thing is that I wanted you to know was that 10 clients gives you solid information. Because if those 10 clients going to turn into 10 more clients, there's something missing or there's something off with what's going on. The second thing is confidence. How confidently you speak about what you do is going to do a lot of the selling for you. So when you're having those initial conversations with people about what you want to do, if you are not speaking confidently about it, then you will really struggle to get people to buy in. Again, it's a bit of a catch-22. You're just getting started. You're not 100% confident about this. So what we can do is we can use some of our excitement about our new idea to fake it. And the more you talk about what you do, the more confident you will become in it. And that's also the purpose of this first 10. This first 10 is going to build your confidence so that you can then get the next 10 and the next 10 and the next 10. So confidence. And know that you will feel nervous and you will suck at first. If you were just entering the fitness industry and you're listening to this, and you thinking about starting your first boot camp, you will suck. I'm just going to give you a straight up honest, but it will get better. And it will get better the more you talk about it, the more you do it, the more sessions you run, the more people you help. So get started. There's only one way through that. Okay, so now let's talk about actually finding your first 10. So once you've created your idea of what you want to create, so maybe doing a small group, maybe you want to run a retreat, maybe you're running a boot camp, maybe you're getting back into personal training, whatever it is, the next step is to look at your existing network. So the people you know, colleagues, ex-colleagues, friends, family, people you know through different social groups, things like that. Look at those people and write down a list. Start making a list. Make a list of 10 people who you think would possibly be interested in what you're starting. And then reach out to them. Be like, hey, don't try and sell them into the boot camp. Just reach out to them and say, hey, I'm starting this boot camp. I thought you might be someone who might be interested because I know you're not doing any, I know you're just finished up at that, or you've just come back from overseas and you haven't got an exercise thing, or you're just returning back to exercise after having your child, like whatever it is that you're offering, or, if you are getting into old adult stuff like that, you might be like, hey, I'm reaching out because I think, I'm finding like strength training is really important to me at this stage of my life. So I'm starting a strength training club for people who are over 50. And I just wanted to see if you'd be interested in joining us. And that's it. Like, it's really low pressure, just starting a conversation with people and just asking them, is this something that you'd be interested in? And then it's just continuing that conversation to the point where you can ask them to sign up. And that's how you should be finding first 10 clients. You shouldn't be creating a bunch of content. You Shouldn't be running ads or anything like that. Like, your idea is unproven. Because if you message 10, 20, 30 people and none of them sign up, and you're like, well, that's who I'm creating this for, then something's missing from day one. So again, that's a good sign, because you're like, oh, well, what's going on here? Like, am I not talking about it in the right way? Yeah, maybe it's my confidence. And it helps you get that offer right from day one, which, if you can get that right, that's just going to make the rest of the things so much easier. So yeah, just that initial reaching out. This is what I'm doing. Would you be interested? Really make it sound fun, make it sound interesting. Don't put a lot of pressure. And if you don't know what you're creating yet, if you're just like, I just want to help this group of people, the conversation might look different. It might be like, hey, I'm looking at starting something to help people like you and me who are at this age or at this stage in our life. What have you tried, or what do you think would be helpful to you at this stage? And then you might use these conversations, these first 10 conversations, to actually come up with what you want your boot camp or small group or whatever it is to look like. All right, so the other thing you can do to expand your network is to meet with people face to face who have this common interest. So if you're targeting a certain age group or a certain demographic or a certain type of person, where do they hang out already? What clubs and groups are they part of already? Can you join those clubs and groups and have conversations with people? And then, inevitably it's going to come up that, oh yeah, I'm a personal trainer. Oh yeah, or maybe I'm just starting out as a personal trainer and I'm starting a boot camp. It's going to come up, and that's a natural way to have that conversation. So look at where these groups are already hanging out in your communities, online and offline, and can you join them and become an active participant in those groups? Yes, it's a lot of work, but spending 2 to 5 hours creating one reel is also a lot of work. So I know which one I would enjoy. That's like, even as an introvert, I think I would prefer to just like hang out with people who I think are pretty cool and have a few conversations than spend 2 to 5 hours scripting a reel, shooting it, editing it, uploading it, and then hoping that I get a client or two out of it. Yeah. I don't have anything else to say about that. The other thing is, when you chat to someone, obviously everyone uses messages these days, but if you can call them on the phone, if you can be like, hey, can I give you a buzz later? And we can just chat. It's just so much better because you can ask questions there. It's so staccato asking questions with someone through social media because it depends, or like a messaging app, because it depends what they're doing. If they're busy at the time that they're trying to message you back, you're only going to get one word answers and things like that. But if you can actually arrange a phone call with someone or be like, hey, can I take you out for coffee or something like that, so that you can actually pick their brain, you're going to get a much better result. And the other thing is, if you find someone who is interested and they want to sign up, the first thing you should ask them is, hey, do you have any friends or do you know anyone who you think would also be interested? And get their contact details, because a warm prospect like that, like someone who's been recommended to you and can give you an intro, is going to be way better, again, than just speaking to the masses online. So yeah, this is the way. It's definitely like way more boots on the ground. But this is the way that you're going to create a really good new group fitness option out in the world, because you're getting so much feedback through this process. You're not just getting crickets, you're getting actual feedback because you're having conversations with people, compared to online where if people don't resonate, they just won't engage. And you're building your confidence, because the more you have these conversations, the more confident you'll get talking about what you do. And you will get some real clients out of this as well. Even if it is like your cousin at the moment, like who's one of your clients, and is just kind of doing it to help you out. Like, that's fine. Like, because once they start coming, I'll be like, oh, I can think of 2 other people who I think would be really good for this, and they'll come as well. So I think that's where I'm wrapping up. The last thing is like, what do you do after you get your first 10 clients? You get your first 20. And what I find is 20 for a group fitness business is really the tipping point. 20 is where you've got enough people that if you lose one or two, you don't feel it as much. Whereas when you have 10 people and you lose one or two, you feel it a lot. But you get to 20, and by 20, you'll have found 1 to 3 clients who are really amazing at referring people to you, and they will become kind of your referral engine and bring a lot of people into you. And also, you're just kind of getting big enough to create a bit of a buzz as well around what you do, which is really important as well in the early days, that people are talking about it, that they're saying, oh, hey, there's this new boot camp, or there's this new group fitness thing, and you need to get, I find 20 is that number. That starts happening, and you start getting a bit of momentum. Becomes less about you driving that thing all the time and more about that momentum. But don't overwhelm yourself by being like, I need to get 20 clients straight away. Start with 10. 10 is very achievable. And also, one more time, if you can't get 10 for your idea, it's back to the drawing board. This needs to look different. And you can ask the people who say no, say, hey, do you mind giving me some feedback on why you don't think it's a good fit for you? Some people won't reply. It feels awkward asking for feedback. We're not taught to do that. We weren't taught as kids in school. When we got an answer wrong, the teacher told us why we got it wrong. We didn't have to say, hey, can you give me some feedback on why that's wrong? In fact, that might have got you in trouble in school for questioning the teacher. So of course you feel weird about it. So it's not a natural thing to us, but it is going to be a really helpful skill for you to learn. And that's again why I want you to do it this way and not the online way, because you will learn so much more. And then, because you've had all these conversations, if you do decide, like I said, you want to do ads or you want to create content, you now know exactly the kind of content or the type of ads you need to create to attract this type of person, because you've actually gone out and talked to them and gotten to understand them and know what their issues are and what they're looking for. All right, and with that, I'm going to wrap this episode up. I think it's very complete. If you've got any questions, you can ask them directly on Spotify, or you can go to this podcast episode on bootcampideas.com, and you can leave a question too in the comments. I'll write back to you. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next week.